What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Team Member Perspective podcast training show. I am Colter, your host, and we are on part 4 of 7 of our sales culture series. This series has been a lot of fun for me to really think back to my experience being a team member and think about the culture that we had in our agency, but also to spend some time thinking about all of the different agencies I've been fortunate enough to work with and really start to identify some of the common denominators that set top producing agencies that are doing big things apart from maybe the average or below average agencies. And, obviously a common denominator is that they all, these top producing agencies, these high performing agencies all have some form of a culture around sales. And in this episode, this one's all going to be about sales and persuasion as well as communication, because we're in the people business. We're not in the insurance business. The more that we understand about people, how people make decisions, human behavior, what people are thinking about with every interaction with us, and how they're feeling, as well as their situation, the more that we understand about them, the more we're going to sell. I believe that because I've lived it as a team member, but I'm also seeing thousands of team members sell a lot because they're really good with people. And so today I want to dive deep into what that looks like for our team in helping them become more compelling, become more influential, because sales is influence. Sales is not quoting. And that is the issue that I see in this industry in regards to building a sales culture, is that it's just so easy to be a quoter. It's so easy to be an order taker, because I believe that one of the reasons is how the quoting tools are set up, right? If you're quoting a new household, going through the quote from start to finish, it's easy to become an order taker and just check boxes and just fill out the quote and give them a price. And so it's set up in that way that if we're not intentional with our teams, with ourselves, with learning influence and learning how to communicate in a compelling way, we're going to leave a lot of money on the table. But more importantly, we're going to leave a lot of people unprotected. And here's the crazy thing, is that I think that one of the other things that causes team members and people in general to maybe not become a person of influence and not learn influence and sales and persuasion at a deep level and continue to remain like a quoter and someone who's more of just an order taker, I think it's their relationship with sales. When you think about sales, what type of things do you think about? What types of emotions do you feel when you think about sales? When if you're a team member, when you think about your role and your responsibility and your, almost obligation to sell for your agency and for yourself and for your family, like what types of emotions do you feel? What types of things do you think about in regards to that when you think about sales? I find that a lot of people have such a negative relationship with sales. They feel like sales is pushy, that it's slimy, that it's, almost fake. And they have this negative relationship with sales. But then there's other team members that don't necessarily have that type of a relationship with sales, but it's more positive. And for them, it's more of, I'm helping people. I'm protecting people, but I'm also helping myself and my family and my agency. And so there's really two ways to look at sales. And I believe that if you're looking at it and you're feeling, maybe like you don't have a great relationship with sales and it's negative, like I would argue that that's always going to be your bottleneck in selling more. Until you can get that relationship a little bit more healthy and a little bit more positive, I don't believe any sort of sales tactics or processes out there is going to help you, right? They might help you with a few quick wins, but if you're truly interested in becoming a top producer and taking things to a completely different level in regards to your production and your income, if you have a negative relationship with sales, that will be your bottleneck. Nothing is going to change. You will remain average, because the energy that you're putting out towards sales is very negative. And I believe that sales in a lot of ways is communication. right? Like, what are we communicating to our customers, to our prospects when we're trying to sell different products? Are we communicating doubt, uncertainty? Are we very timid in our delivery because we don't want to feel like that pushy salesperson? We don't want to feel like we're bullying people into saying yes to something that they don't want or they don't need. Like, think about if you have that mindset and you have those feelings towards sales that like, I don't want to be a salesperson. I don't want to be pushy. Think about how you're communicating that to your customers and prospects that you're trying to sell to. Do you feel like they're going to pick up on it? And so if we look at two team members, team member A and team member B, team member A has a very negative relationship with sales. They are communicating doubt, uncertainty, they're timid, and they're doing that because they have this negative relationship with sales. Then we have team member B. Team member B views sales from the lens of helping people, from serving people. Seeing sales is like this beautiful gift that when they can learn it and be effective in it, they can actually change their life financially and the lives of their family financially and their overall experience, but also help protect people in a big way. We think about these two team members, team member A with the negative relationship, team member B with more of a positive relationship. Which team member do you think is going to sell more? Team member B all day long. And think about it this way. Let's say that I gave team member A, okay, a perfect process. That thing is buttoned up. It is very intentional and it's a perfect process. And team member A goes out and is having conversations and delivering this process in a very timid way with uncertainty because they have this negative relationship with sales. Okay, but it's a perfect process versus I give team member B a broken process. But what team member B does is they communicate confidence. They communicate certainty. They have this mindset of helping people rather than selling people. And they have more of a positive relationship with sales. Which team member do you think is going to sell more? Team member A with the broken process or the perfect process, but not a whole lot of confidence and certainty? Or team member B with the broken process with confidence, with certainty, with the mindset of I'm helping you. Team member B is going to outsell team member A all day long. And so it's not just what we're seeing. It's not just the systems and processes. And don't get me wrong. Like, I am a big believer in systems and processes. I believe that systems and processes allow us to have consistency at a very high level. However, I believe that the systems and processes only work when we work them effectively. And it all comes back to our delivery of what we're communicating to our customers. Because again, team member A's got this perfect script, but they're not selling policies because they're communicating some form of uncertainty or doubt to their prospect or customer. Whereas team member B over here is just kind of, flying by the seam of their pants and they don't have this perfect process. It's very broken, but they're very confident in their delivery. They're communicating confidence. People want to buy from people that they trust. And I'll tell you, if someone is trying to sell me something and I can tell that they are timid and that they're not confident what they're talking about, I'm not going to buy from them, right? Even if it's something that maybe I feel like I want or even see that I might need, I'm just not going to buy from them because I don't want to do business with someone that I don't trust. I don't trust someone that's very timid and just like maybe, low energy in their delivery, but it's not even that. It's just more of like, you're not making me feel certain in my decision here. You're actually making me doubt it even more. Okay, but team member B could be saying whatever, but as long as team member B is communicating that confidence, is making me feel certain with my decision, then I'm going to move forward with team member B. Okay, and so sales is persuasion. Sales is not quoting. And this is one of the challenges that I see in this industry is that it's so common to see team members just become order takers. It is so common for team members to just almost like just be quoters. And they're just literally going through the quote from page to page to page and giving people the price. Like there's no selling being done. Okay. And I believe that the quoting tools and the applications kind of set it up that way. But my point is if we're not intentional with learning influence and being influential in learning cells and learning communication and human behavior, if we're not intentional with learning that ourselves as team members or ensuring that our team is learning cells and persuasion and communication as agency owners or office managers, if we're not intentional with that, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So my question is, who is teaching your team members cells and persuasion? If it's you, great. Evaluate the effectiveness. Is it working? I hear a lot from agents, that I talk to every week. They're like, you know what? I'm just kind of looking for a new voice, a new training voice to kind of resonate with my team members. It's like they're not listening to me anymore, and they're probably getting sick of hearing me. Like I hear that from every single agent. And if agents, you're listening to this, you know what I'm saying, right? Or even if, maybe if you're a team member listening to this, it's like being a parent. I don't know if you have kids. I've got kids. I've got two of my own, but I got a 5-year-old. And I share this story a lot, but I cut up some peppers one afternoon. I had some ranch. I was definitely drowning those peppers in ranch. Yummy. All right. And so I'm like, hey, Griff, my 5-year-old, I'm like, dude, come try these. These are so good. And immediately he's like, no, Dad, I'm not going to try those. I'm like, Griff, I'm serious. Like, you like ranch. You're really going to like these peppers. Just come dip one in and try it. He's like, no, Dad, ew. And I'm like, whatever, Griff. Okay. A couple days goes on. He goes to preschool. Preschool teacher cuts up peppers and has ranch. Griff gets home from school, and guess what he tells Mom he wants her to buy at the store next? Peppers and ranch. And when I heard about this, I remember saying like, Griff, dude, I told you to try these things. Like, why didn't you try it when I told you? He's like, I don't know, Dad. But that right there is what we see in agency, right? Team, for whatever reason, right? Like, and team members listening to this, I want you to snap out of it. Like, listen to what your agents are saying, because what they're saying works. At least, that's the hope. Agents, like, if you're confident and you've trained team members and things have worked, like, then like, do it, right? You guys, like agents, they've been around. They know the business. Learn from them. Stop with all these limiting thoughts of like, oh, well, you're the agent. I'm just a team member. I can't do it in the same way as you. Like, get rid of that, because this stuff works. But at the end of the day, guys, like that's the nature of this thing. But, who's going to be teaching you sales and persuasion, right? Who's going to be teaching your team sales and persuasion and communication? Because if we think about it, all day long, we're talking to people. We're in the people business. If we can't navigate people effectively and in a very intentional way, we're going to leave a lot on the table. And here's a couple principles that I believe are very important in this day of age in selling, because at the end of the day, there's some old sales tactics that just don't resonate with me anymore. Like, if I feel like you're trying to steamroll me and try to basically back me into corner to say yes, and you're using questions that are almost setting me up, I feel this resistance. And it will actually cause me to disengage and decide right then and there, I'm not buying anything from you, because I feel like I'm being sold to. And so a lot of those old sales techniques of always be closing, they will not work with me. They won't work with me. And I believe that they won't work with a lot of other people as well. Most. And as we think about it, I think technology has made a big impact in the way that people are buying, right? In the way that what is being exposed to people. People are getting sold to all day long. The moment you wake up, you check your phone, you get on Instagram and start scrolling, or Facebook and start scrolling, a couple posts in, you're hit with an advertisement. Okay. You get in your car and you go to work. If you listen to the radio, like my wife does, I'm more of like a Spotify guy, but if you listen to the radio, you enjoy a couple songs, jam out a little bit, and then all of a sudden you're hit with an advertisement. You get home after a long days of work, you get on the couch, you throw on the TV. If you're paying for like DirecTV, Dish, those things, you've got commercials. Okay. But also like even Netflix, Hulu, a lot of these platforms now have commercials embedded in them. I'm like, wow, this is crazy. get commercials again, right? And not to mention maybe all these different phone calls. Like my health insurance companies call me a lot trying to sell me stuff. Marketing companies or content creating companies, I'm always being sold to all day long. And I would argue that you are too. And so because of the advancements of technology, people are buying different than they have before. And if we think that these old sales techniques are going to be working in this day and age when people are being sold to all day long and that we think it's going to work in the same way that it did then, I think we're kind of mistaken. We're not evolving with the times. And within insurance specifically, I mean, think about it. How easy is it for someone to just go online and get an insurance policy bound without having to ever talk to somebody? Right? It's fairly common. Okay. So the ease of access to all this stuff makes things a little bit more challenging. But, the insurance industry is very, very unique in that, a lot of people can kind of get by and be fairly average, fairly decent without hardly any sales skills because of how everything's set up. And, selling auto insurance and home insurance, like if you can beat their rate and you don't completely, mess it up, you're probably going to write policies. However, if you're wanting to sell at an extremely high level, if you're wanting to become a top performer and make more money than you ever have and unlock your commission check, then it might be worth your time to learn sales and persuasion, to become a student of the game, learn people skills, learn how to disarm people, right? Instead of always be closing, think of it like always be disarming. Because if someone feels like they're being sold to, if their guard is up, do you think they are going to emotionally open up to you? Or do you think they're going to be more closed off to you? When you make a recommendation, do you think they're going to be open to that recommendation? Or do you think they're going to be closed off to that recommendation? If their guard's up, they're not going to be opened up to you. They're going to be very closed off. And so, yeah, always be closing. Good luck, right? Like if people feel like they're being sold to and sales pressure is there, you're probably not going to sell deals. You're probably not going to submit policies. That's my take. But instead, if you develop an awareness of if there is sales resistance, if there is sales pressure, to disarm the customer, and then after their guard has come down, then go into what you were trying to do before to try to sell them, you're going to notice that it actually resonates with people more and that they don't give you these surface level objections that you hear all the time, which is my next thing. In sales and persuasion and in sales, it's like everybody wants to talk about objections and overcoming objections. How do I handle this objection and that objection and that objection and every objection under the sun? And we almost convince ourselves that before I can be selling at a high level, I've got to get really good at objections. True, but what if you could prevent the objections from ever coming up? What if you could get ahead of the objections upstream? What if you started to understand that it was something that you said, the way that you said it, maybe when you said it, maybe the timing was off that caused that objection to trigger in the customer's mind in the first place? What if you started to look upstream at those things and really be intentional with, well, what did I say that triggered that? Or was it the way that I said it that triggered it? Or is it just bad timing? Did I do it too soon? Did I ask a question where I should have made a recommendation? Right? And here's the thing, guys, is, I don't know if, I just got lucky with when I was selling door to door. I kind of think I did, but I remember I was always taught to when you knock on the door, you want to try to get inside the house as soon as you can to sell them because, front doorstep versus we're sitting on the couch or at the dinner table, right? Like if they invite you in, their guard is down a little bit more. However, I just feel like I wasn't able to do that confidently. I wasn't able to get in the house quickly, but I ended up actually selling people on the doorstep. And I think from the moment that I started to learn how to sell door to door and just how to sell in general, I feel like I learned, and the way I was doing it is I was always disarming people. That at any point, if there was resistance, my goal was to get rid of that resistance before I advanced that sell forward. I took that and I applied it to insurance, and man, like I look back at all, writing 300 plus financial services a year, and I wasn't getting objections. I don't look back and think like, man, I was just really good at overcoming objections. I wasn't getting objections because I was preventing them from happening in the first place. Okay? And so always be disarming. Find a way to get ahead of objections rather than just set yourself up for objections. And then learn how to do a presentation. And presentation, I'm starting to not really like that word, but maybe think of it in terms of value. Like, how can you get the customer with your value or with your presentation? How can you get to them to a place where they're like, yeah, I never really thought of that before. Or, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like, when you can have a customer almost have like an aha moment when you're selling or you're doing your presentation, making a recommendation, bringing in value, when you can have them have that like aha moment, you're doing something right? That to me is influence. That to me is persuasion, is helping people maybe look at their situation a little bit differently. Help them see their exposure a little bit differently, right? Like, that's what we do in insurance is we're helping protect these exposures for people. We're helping protect people financially if something were to happen, whether it's a car accident, maybe their home burns to the ground, maybe they, heaven forbid, pass away prematurely. Like, we're helping protect them financially, protect their lifestyle. That's what we're doing. But here's where I'm going to end. And this is what I want you to really think about is, a lot of times as salespeople, you hear that we're problem solvers. Okay, like that's what we're doing is we're not selling people, we're solving problems, which I agree with that. But I want to throw this at you. Let's say that you are trying to get Colter to buy life insurance and you just jump right to the product and you say, hey, Colter, I recommend you get some life insurance. What do you have in place? Okay, so you're kind of leading with the product, okay? Because life insurance, like we know it solves a problem for Colter. It could solve a problem for Colter, okay? But you're leading with the product. In Colter's mind, Colter doesn't really see a problem. He doesn't really see the exposure fully. He doesn't really see the risk. And so your recommendation to get life insurance, if you believe that life insurance solves a problem for Colter and you bring up life insurance with Colter, you like lead with the product, like how much weight does your recommendation carry with Colter to get life insurance for a problem that Colter doesn't think he has? Or how much weight does your recommendation to get life insurance carry with Colter for a problem that you're going to be solving that Colter knows that there's a problem there and knows that it's probably important to get something in place for him and his family, but like he doesn't really think it's that big of a deal. He doesn't think it's that big of a problem to solve, and there's not a lot of urgency to get it done. Like, if Colter doesn't understand the problem, how much weight does the solution carry to solve that problem that he doesn't think he has? Not a whole lot. But also, if Colter thinks that there is a problem, but he doesn't realize or understand the severity and the consequences of that problem for him and his family, then, how much weight does your solution to get life insurance carry to solve this problem for Colter? Not a lot. Like, it's something that I could, I'll get to that later, right? And you probably hear that in the form of objections with a lot of your customers. And so that could be a cue that you're jumping too quickly into the product. Like, people, I'll tell you this, I'm not going to buy a life insurance policy because it's just a life insurance policy. People aren't buying life insurance because it's life insurance. People are buying life insurance because of what life insurance will do for them. And in order to help people understand what it does for them, we've got to start with the problem. So this is where I'm going to end. Be a problem finder first, then a problem solver, not a product pusher. When we can help our customers see the problem more clearly, see the consequences of not solving that problem, and the severity of those consequences of not solving this problem, the solution will now carry weight. In fact, your customers will be pulling you in, saying that they want coverage. Right? They may not be explicitly be saying that, but helping them see the problem will help there be a demand for your solution to get life insurance. Guys, we're in the people business. The more we understand about people, how they make decisions, human behavior, persuasion, sales, communication. The more we understand about that, the more we will sell. Guys, there was a lot we could have gone into today about sales, persuasion, communication. Expect more content coming up, more episodes around this, because this is what we do here in Team Member Perspective, is we are teaching team members sales, communication, persuasion, because the more that we understand about those things, the more we're going to sell. Like, those skills will help us have a sales-driven culture in our agency. You guys are awesome. And again, my only ask is, if this has been helpful, please share it with someone that you know that might help, agent, team member, agency down the road. I don't care. That's my only ask, because that's how this thing grows. And if you are thinking, you know what, I would like to get my team around you, Colter, around your coaches in this Team Member Perspective group. I want my team members to learn sales, persuasion, communication. I want my team to, become more, my agency to have more of a sales-driven culture. I want my team to sell more life insurance, more health insurance products. Click the link in the description, connect with us, and see if this is something that could be a good fit, because we're finding that it has been a great fit for many agencies. Appreciate you guys, and we'll catch you in the next one.